I'm all about doing something for my health every day. I eat a clean diet, I work out every day, I just got a vibration plate. I'm all about health and making things easy. Here's my new obsession, Wellco's the Super Elixir. I started it and immediately felt good. My energy level has changed within the first couple of weeks and I felt more awake. And I need this since I don't drink caffeine. I had less bloating, my nails felt stronger. I started feeling like myself again. And I gotta be honest, I notice it most when I run out. I just put 2 teaspoons in water. You could put it in a smoothie. That's it. It works alongside whatever you already do. The Super Elixir has 45 high-quality science-backed ingredients, formulated by a naturopath, and it actually tastes good. Right now, get 40% off your first month when you subscribe at wellco.com. Use code KateCasey40 at checkout. Join over 400,000 women who have felt the difference. That's WELLECO.com, code KateCasey40. 40% off your first month. 40% off at WELLECO.com, promo code KateCasey40. First-time subscribers only.
Music, food, art. These things define and unite us, and they come in colors that breathe culture, colors that connect us with their variety and richness. You'll find that same variety in Valspar Ultra paints. Great coverage and durability starting at $29.98 per gallon. Enjoy everyday protection against scuffs and wear with a smooth, washable finish. We're made of colors, and with Valspar Ultra, you can reflect that pride of culture you have inside on every wall of your home. Available at Lowe's.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. Today's episode really does sit at the intersection of reality television and true crime. Now, you probably remember Clayton Echard from reality TV, first from Michelle Young's season of The Bachelorette, which was in 2021, and then he became The Bachelor in 2022. And you may also be familiar with the legal case that has happened after the camera stopped rolling, in which has received a lot of press attention. Now, it started in a way that feels almost ordinary. You get a direct message on Instagram. For Clayton, it was a woman named Laura Owens. She had presented herself as someone with connections in real estate who was interested in a property. By then, he had been selling real estate, and he agreed to meet her in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now, what followed, according to Clayton, was brief and non-romantic. They spent some time together. They even visited a property. It was consistent with the story that she had told. But shortly after, things took a turn and fast. She began making pregnancy claims. Now, what started as a brief, seemingly harmless meeting quickly turned into a flood of claims, messages, and legal pressure. And the claim of pregnancy, then it became she was pregnant with twins. What unfolded next would become a legal battle filled with allegations that really do sound like one of those true crime documentaries that I've covered. It had altered ultrasound images, a fabricated pregnancy video, and then, of course, repeated lies under oath. In June of 2024, a judge ruled that the claims were knowingly false. There was a paternity test that showed little to no fetal DNA. So the case was dismissed and Clayton was awarded legal fees. But it didn't end there. In 2025, a grand jury indicted Laura Owens on multiple felony charges, including fraud, forgery, perjury, and evidence tampering. Prosecutors described it as part of a broader alleged paternity fraud scheme. And investigators and Clayton have also claimed that she has made similar accusations against other men. Like I said, this story is most bizarre and unsettling. And I was most interested in the opportunity to speak with Clayton about this story because of how it impacted his life, his reputation, and what he wants people to understand about the experience. Now, as you will hear, this story plays on a violation of trust in something that's normally unquestioned: pregnancy. I had read and seen clips about this case, but hearing him go through every detail was heartbreaking. But yet at the end of this interview, I really think that you will hear him looking forward in a new way. Sometimes when you're in the middle of something painful, you can't see your way out of it. You're just trying to get through the next moment. And then one day, almost without realizing it, you look around and you understand you're no longer in it. You've already made it through. And I suspect he may almost be there. I was thrilled to talk to him, and I should note that he has a 10-part series on iHeart Podcast called Love Trapped. And he goes through each part of the story in all of those episodes. However, in this episode, we talk about all of the details of the case, but also how he intends to move forward. So I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed talking to him. This, again, is truly such a strange case. This is definitely one of those episodes you're going to want to share. Here's my interview with Clayton. Clayton, it is good to meet you, but I have a funny question for you before we even start.
Okay.
Years ago, Us Weekly, when you were The Bachelor, had this thing in the back of the magazine where it was like 20 things about me. And I read yours and I was like, there's no way that he submitted this. I felt like a publicist must have done it. Do you remember that? Or did people just like fill out stuff for you and you're like, okay, whatever?
I would. Do you have it, like the article with like what was not believed?
I must have it, but this cannot be real. First of all, it was like you ate Chipotle like 5 times a week.
That was actually true.
I'm like, how is he alive?
No, yeah, that was very true. I loved Chipotle. Like that was my favorite food, and I had a free Chipotle gift card for a year. I got from being on TV, so it was like now I get to eat free food. It's my favorite food. So I was just like, I mean, I'd have it for lunch and dinner, 5 days a week.
Okay, but like, are you still doing that?
No, because it really messed with my gut.
That's what I expected.
Yeah. So I haven't had Chipotle in probably like 3 years now. I mean, it's been, once that gift card declined, I was like,
you were good to go. You had enough.
I was like, I need to start cooking actually and learn to cook. Yeah.
Okay. And then there was another one about like, you would put coins in your mouth.
Okay. Well, there's actually, I don't remember what I was responding to on that. There was one incident when I was a child where I believe this is what I was referencing. They had like, you know how the quarters used to have like the different states and you could collect all 50?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was one day my brother had a quarter to add to the collection and he gave it to me and it was like dirty. So I just stuck it in my mouth to clean it. So like I just whatever spit shined it and then I put it in my little collection. I believe that's what I was referencing. I don't put quarters in my mouth beyond that.
Well, the way it was written, I was like, I'm concerned about him. Like, what is happening?
On quarters, yeah. No, I don't know what. Maybe they took what I said and then
I think so. Yeah, that's what I had convinced of.
Okay, well, maybe I need to start looking into more. So they're like, hey, article's live. I'm like, great, guys, have a great day. Oftentimes I typically look because I'm like, look, I did the interview. I know what was said, so you can whatever you put up there. But maybe I should start checking.
Well, I bet back in those days, in the height of The Bachelor, there was so many interviews coming in and out.
There was, and something as well, when you brought that up at the very beginning, my first thought was, well, maybe what you were feeling was like, it doesn't feel authentic. And to that, I would say, yes. I mean, who I am today versus who I was 4 years ago, 2 completely different people. I'm way more authentic now. I'm more unapologetic. I'm more just confident in being myself. So I was giving a lot of interview answers when I was The Bachelor. I was heavily PR trained. Even before The Bachelor, I was PR trained from my time when I played Division I football. So like because you're representing a top university in the state and country, at least top countries as far as like just like size and population. I guess we had a good like journalism school too, but I wasn't in that. But you're representing this big university, so we were trained what to and what not to say. A lot of times it was just like focus on your performance. You take that plus the training I got from The Bachelorette, plus the training I got from being The Bachelor, and I became like a PR robot. I mean, I knew all the answers to give. And when I came off TV and I was in my group chat with my high school buddies, they're like, Clayton, you can just answer, like, what happened? You can just give us, stop giving us PR answers. Stop giving us interview answers. Like, just give us your answers. I was like, no, guys, these are my answers. But I was so concerned even about like posting comments that I used to prior to the show in my group chat. Like, because guys, the way we talk, like it's the locker room stuff. It's like, it's definitely not PC. It's not, but like people have gotten canceled over like those messages getting out. And so for me, I was like, Clayton, you could get canceled. One of these guys could get mad at you one day and post this online and that'll be it. So I was like, I became really structured and is like just giving robotic answers. So when you brought that up originally, that's what I thought. I was like, I probably was just giving these answers to just answer to answer.
But it was such an important point, and I think a lot of people may miss that because when you become the lead of a show like that, it becomes less about you, and everything that you do is part of a narrative or a story. And I would definitely think there's a part of you that at points, in the quiet of the night is like, I don't really have control of my life anymore.
It's always going to be a part of me. In fact, I do cameos still to this day, and I scream and I'm dancing and it's super chaotic, but it's like, it is my chaotic energy, at least a part of me. And when I go up to the camera after I dance, I'm like, hey, it's Bachelor Clay. Like that is one of the, it's one of the biggest things I'm known for. It is the biggest thing that I'm known for because it's a big role. It's like you're the guy on like the most popular dating show in the history of like the United States, right? I mean, since we've had other dating shows come up, but like that was basically the catalyst for every other dating show. That was like your premier dating show. And so to become the Bachelor at the time, I was the 26th one. It's like there's only 25 other guys, that in the entire world or U.S. that have been able to have this experience. So you become like, yeah, Clayton the Bachelor. Like there's that version of me, and that was where I was trying to figure out like what does that look like. And it's like, well, the producers wanted me to be this good old Midwest guy, that's just struggled to find his person. And he's, really just a kind-hearted, good dude. And I'm like, I am a kind-hearted, good dude, but like they were trying to make me a little bit more innocent than what I'd say I was. But I also was like, look, if we're going to put this facade out there, like, all right, I mean, I guess unless it gets found out. And when I say facade, it's like I had no trouble with women. I mean, I've had trouble in my past, but like I got to a point where I started having confidence, and I was out being single, doing, casual things. And, that got out. So when the show was like, oh, he's this good old guy from Missouri, like that's just like struggling to find love and wants it so badly. There was like, I remember it was a viral TikTok, and this girl was like, he was just hooking up with my friend like a week ago. And then there were girls in the comments like, he hooked up with me like 6 months ago. And then there was some of it was true. I was like, that's true. But then some of them, like, he kissed me, like we made out last month at the bar. I was like, that's not true. Like,
oh, but yeah, because there's people that I want to just pile in and be involved.
But then, like, I went out on a podcast, and I was like, I never claimed to be a saint. I was like, so I was separating myself at that point. I was like, guys, like, and I told the show, I said, I told you we shouldn't have went with this. Like, you guys made my promo me holding a bunch of little puppies. Like,
no.
And then I'm the underdog, and people are like, how is he the underdog? He's 6'5", he's a white dude. And I'm like, yeah, guys, I don't really think this was the right approach. So I don't feel like I was marketed correctly. But I also wasn't willing to be my full authentic self because I didn't believe that people would actually like the version of me that I really was deep down.
Well, why would you say that?
Oh, that goes back to just, perceived trauma all the way back from 7th grade. That's when my mental health struggles began. I became a big people pleaser. And I was looking to get external validation. At the time in 7th grade, I was terrible athlete. I wasn't a good athlete. I wasn't a starter. I was a bench player. And so, I was a bench player, and then I was friend zoned by all the girls. My nickname was Big Brother in middle school, which I hated. It's like, you don't want to be called brother when like you're trying to date these women. So for me, it's like when you're a kid of that age, your value is really tied into how good you are at sports and like how much the opposite sex likes you. It's like, what else? Like, you got grades, like, and kids don't typically care about school that much. So it's like your value's really in like your peers and your accolades, right? So I felt inefficient in both regards. And because of that, I guess I should have said insufficient, but with that, I went on a mission. I was like, I have to prove to my peers, to women, and to like my teammates that I am like a man and I am worthy. And how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to go play football at the highest level. So I became obsessed, and I went to the gym, and I was like, also when I get big and strong, like women like athletes, they like guys that are successful. So like, not only will I become a better athlete and then appease my coaches and my teammates, but I'll appease the women because I'll become super successful. So I went on this mission. Yeah. And then it was like, I went into medical sales post, football. And I was like, okay, now I'm a medical sales rep. And so I'm in the OR working with doctors. Again, it was all about the external validation. And when I became the Bachelor, it was like, they saw my accolades. They saw my resume, and they're like, oh, like, you're the guy, you're this Midwest guy. And like, this is what we want. And so I was like, okay, I need to uphold this image. Like, I need to uphold what they see on paper, and just only show that. Like, don't show them the goofy side of you. Don't show them like all this other stuff because they may not like it, and that could potentially get you to lose the position or get people to hate you. Like, clearly what you're doing is working. What you've built has got you to this point. So just do that. Just show only that. Do not, like, why would you go show the real version of you at this point? You built up a character. Society says it's valuable. So, like, just keep playing it.
That feels so loaded too, because as we begin to hear this story, I would presume that a lot of that stuff, it plays into the choices that you have made, not just romantically, but like just friendships, any relationship in life. So,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, validation, I was seeking external validation, I would say up until, I don't know, 6-8 months ago. I feel like there's still moments where I still catch myself, going back to the old hardwiring, but I'm not, like, it's not as prevalent. But yeah, I mean, with that being said, I mean, I'm about to turn 33. So still, I mean, up until 6-8 months ago, I was always leading with like, well, how will this be perceived? Is this going to be a net positive or a net negative thing? Like, that was always the way that I was seeing it. How can I move the needle more on the positive? So I would approach that if I was putting out a video or whatever I was doing. What it was to me, it became a performance, especially after being the lead of a TV show. You lose all form of privacy, and then people are always watching you. When I go out in public, like, people turn, they look at me, not as much anymore because I'm like 4 years removed, so I'm not the shiny object anymore. But when I first came out here, it's like the show ends, but it doesn't. Because when you walk into a restaurant or a bar, you have all these heads turning like you're a zoo animal, and everyone's looking at you and snapping photos from afar. And then all of a sudden, once the first person comes up and they see that you're receptive to a photo, boom, I had lines of 50 people. Everywhere I'd go, sport venues, I'd have, a long line. And so you're like, even though the show ends, it doesn't end. It's like you feel like the show carries on into your real life. And so everything you're doing is being watched. So you're kind of like, okay, I don't want to like move my hands weirdly because somebody might capture this moment, and like the show never ends. And I'm just like, the character Bachelor Clayton never dies.
Mm-hmm. What's weird about us as humans is that we often put ourselves in places, continue to choose to put ourselves in places that just continues to feed that noise in your head. So, like the decisions you made to go into athletics and then medical sales and then be on the TV show.
Yeah, I was looking for a compliment. Yeah, feeding my ego.
So, walk me into how you meet Laura and how the first part of the story unfolds.
Yeah, so post Bachelor, I got my real estate license, came out to Scottsdale. My brothers were living out here already. And so I was like, look, I want to be close to family. They're my best friends. New chapter of my life. Susie and I from the show, the girl that I dated on The Bachelor, we broke up. So I said, hey, I'm packing all my stuff in my car and I'm driving cross country. I'm just starting this new chapter. So I get there and then I get my real estate license. And shortly after I get my real estate license, I posted online like, hey, I'm an agent. About like, I don't even know, a week later, I get a message from Laura on LinkedIn and she says, hey, I want to, buy some property. I really want to work with your brokerage, but I can't get an answer back from anyone within the brokerage. So can you help me out? So I was all excited. I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I thought would happen. Like, I went on The Bachelor. Now I'm well known. I'm a household name. And so people are going to reach out to me and I'm going to get all this business, right? So I was a little bit naive, but I said, yeah, I'll help you out. So I gave her my information. So all of a sudden, now we're texting. She's being flirty. I'm like, whatever. It's not the first time I've had, people flirt with me. When I was a medical sales rep, the nurses were notorious for doing it, but it was funny. It was like, just whatever. Like, we're just joking around, having a good time. So I was like, well, I'm fine. Like, I can keep it professional. Well, one night, I was self-medicating with marijuana because I was still struggling with my time from reality television. I'd just seen Susie the prior weekend, and it brought up a lot of old feelings. And so I was coping with my emotions by getting high. Laura proceeds to text me that night. I basically then invite her over after she sends me like a semi-provocative photo. It's kind of funny because the photo made its way out now. People are like, this is what you consider provocative? I was like, a man with high testosterone and at the right time of night doesn't need much to take a photo. And it was like a photo of her backside, but it was like clothed. But nonetheless, it was like, all right, that got me. So then I was like, hey, come over. And so she came over and we hooked up. We didn't have sex. She performed oral twice. And then 11 days later, she started. The next day we went and saw homes, and I brought her into my car and I said, hey, I want to talk with you. Last night was a mistake. I shouldn't have crossed that professional boundary. If you'd like, I can refer you to another agent because that was a mistake of mine. She said, no, I want to work with you. I said, okay, well, if we're going to work together, like it just needs to be professional from here on out. That what we did last night will not happen again moving forward.
Now, does she say at any point, like, I really like you and I know that we were just intimate and that I barely know you, but I would like to be in a relationship?
Yeah, I mean, so in this car conversation, she starts going, she starts crying, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. Like, I just met this girl, and she's like bawling her eyes out. She's like, I just think we had such great conversations last night, and like we have a lot in common, and I really could help you like become the best version of you. Like, I just know that like we really like we could do this together, and like we could be a power couple, and like please just give me a chance. Like, I really feel like it's just like cutting this off is not fair. Yeah, at first I was like, okay, this is weird. She's crying, but like, I'm not going to be rude. So I was like, hey, I'm sorry. And I see that you're very, you feel strongly about this. But like, I'm sorry. I just like, I shouldn't, last night shouldn't have happened. So like, I hear you, but like, I'm not interested in pursuing this. She proceeded to beg and beg and beg for me to give her a chance. And then finally I got to the point where I became, frustrated because I said like, look, I said, Laura, no means no. Stop asking me. I've given you an answer. That's when all of a sudden, like, complete demeanor switch. I've talked about this. It's like the lights went off in the house. She went stone cold, wiped her last tear off her face in that moment, looked at me in the eyes and just said, no, I get it. Have a great day. Gave me this like kind of weird smile and got out of the car and walked away. And I just remember when she closed the car door, I got a full body chill. And I remember thinking, I was like, I don't know what that was, but whatever it is, it's not the end of it. Like that was exactly the thought that I had. I remember it was like, because I just was like, what the hell was that? And then in the coming days, it was like she proceeded to say, I want to see some more properties. So we saw a few more properties. And then she kept pushing back into like, hey, can we date? And if she's like, if you're not going to date me, I can get another agent. And I was like, fine, go get another agent. Like, I'm not going to date you. Then she started saying like, hey, I'm playing back that night in my head. And like when we were grinding on each other, I felt some of your fluid down there. And I'm very fertile at this time of month. So like, I'm a little concerned that I could possibly be pregnant. So she started teasing the idea that she might be pregnant. I was like, stop, like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm going to block you. And then I ended up blocking her. And then 11 days from the time that we had hooked up, I then get an email with a positive pregnancy test stating that she's pregnant.
When I started my podcast, I worried so much about its success. Is this really the right decision for me? And what if I fail? But that leap was one of the best decisions I ever made. And then I think about all of you that have done the same, starting your own businesses. Shopify has helped so many of you ease some of your worries with their expertise, helpful tools, and easy-to-use platform. And trust me, I wish I had the same when I created my podcast. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From household names like Aviator Nation and Skims to brands just getting started. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand style. Accelerate your efficiency whether you're uploading new products or trying to improve existing ones. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. And did I mention that iconic purple Shop Pay button that's used by millions of businesses around the world? It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. It also helps boost conversions, meaning less carts going abandoned and more sales for you. It's time to turn those what ifs into cha-ching with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/Kate Casey. Go to shopify.com/Kate Casey. That's shopify.com/Kate Casey. Okay, I've got some big news. It's Way Day at Wayfair. So from April 25th through the 27th, you can score the best deals in home, like up to 80% off with your free shipping on everything. Wayfair makes it easy to find exactly what fits your style and needs, from furniture and decor to home improvement and outdoor essentials. And it's all on sale during Way Day. So you can upgrade your space with quality pieces that work within your budget. And the best part? Everything ships fast and free during Way Day. Plus, you can shop with Wayfair Verified, which is basically your shortcut to the good stuff. Their team of product specialists vets everything by hand using a 10-point quality inspection, so you know you're going to get a quality piece no matter what your budget is. Now, my home is coastal. I just bought new white duvet covers for the bedrooms, a stack of new beach towels, and white baskets to go in each of the bathrooms. And Wayfair makes it simple to narrow down exactly what's for your style and budget. There are so many options, and again, you can use that filter for your favorite colors, textures, and sizes. Installation and assembly services are available for a truly seamless experience. Thousands of 5-star reviews help you shop with confidence. Wayday is the sale to shop the best deals in home, and we're talking, again, up to 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything. So head to wayfair.com April 25th through the 27th to shop Wayday. That's WAYFAR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Now, when you were together that night, were you both drinking?
No, we were just high off of an edible.
Okay. And she knew that you had an edible?
Yes, I told her that I was high. She came over. I said, do you want to take an edible? She said, yes. So she took an edible. So we both were high off an edible.
Okay. Okay. So after she sends you this message, who are the first people you call and what do you say?
So I actually just had this conversation with my youngest brother because it all happened so quickly. I didn't want to tell my family, but around the time that she sent that message, it was my brother's birthday. And so I took him out to dinner and I just had to tell somebody. And so I told him, I was like, hey man, I got this girl that she's claiming this stuff. And like, I don't know what's going on. Like she's claiming she's pregnant. Like, I don't know what to do. He was like, oh, well, like, I guess like there's no way she can prove this. So, I think you'll be good. Hopefully it'll just blow over. So we had a conversation of the sorts and then obviously it didn't blow over. I don't believe I told my family until she began to reach out to them. She started sending emails to my parents. And that was like when I then told them at that point, which I think was like probably a month in. Because I was ashamed, after everything that I'd been through on reality television, that really did a number to not only me, but to my family. It really it hurt, especially like my mom, it really hurt for her to see how people thought of me as her, her firstborn. Nobody's more defensive than my mother is of her children and of me. And so, while I was taking a lot of heat directly, like it hurt my mom just as bad to see all these negative comments online. And so when this came up, I'm like, I can't do this. I can't I'm going to freak my mom out again. I'm going to stress her out even more. Like I can't do this. So I was just like, I'm going to hold this within and I'm going to deal with it myself. And that was the hope. I was hoping I was going to be able to quash this without, anybody finding out. But then she started sending letters to my family and then my place of employment. And then she started sending it to people that I was working with, speaking, at mental health speaking engagements. She was sending it to nonprofits. So she started just basically sending messages as an anonymous woman that got pregnant by the bachelors, which she kept saying. She kept sending these letters and it was like very apparent that I wasn't going to be able to keep a lid on it.
And from the beginning, are you just running through this through your head? I would assume that you'd say, okay, did I miss something? Like, I remember what happened, but did something else happen because I had an edible?
I remember everything from that night. And it wasn't a matter of like me going back and being like, wait, like maybe things are hazy. Maybe something happened at this point. I remember every single, like I wasn't that high where I had, I grayed out or blacked out or whatever you want to call it. But what I was concerned about was the second time she performed oral, she got up and went straight to the bathroom, like hurried herself to the bathroom. And I had
ejaculated.
I got to know how much I could say. I had ejaculated into her mouth. So she ran to the bathroom and I thought that she possibly spit it in her hand and pushed it up her or had a syringe or something. And because I thought she trapped me, and that's why the podcast is called Love Trapped. It's because of the term trapping, which I think now people are becoming more familiar with it, but it's a term that I first heard when I was a collegiate athlete. It was when, it's typically like women that will do it to a man. Like I had teammates where they were going to be first round draft picks. So they're dating a girl and she's on birth control and all of a sudden she misses a pill or all of a sudden she gets pregnant and she's like, oh, I don't know how that happened. But it's like, no, they're latching on to that person's money. So they hope that they can get, the child support at the very least and get a payout. It happens. It happens to celebrities, athletes. And so I'm like, okay, she trapped me. Like, it's against my will. I don't want to have a child with this person. But she ran to the bathroom, spit in her hand, and pushed it up her. And according to Google, there was a small percentage chance if she transferred it fast enough that the saliva would not kill all of the sperm and that she could become pregnant by that. So that's what I thought she did.
At what point do you call a lawyer? Because if she's sending letters to your family, to your employer, we can always assume, too, that she's sending it to media outlets.
Yeah, well, she didn't start with the media outlets. It was just family and friends. And I was talking to, she then filed for paternity papers, or a parenting plan. So I got the police to show up at my apartment. First she had a process server. I kept dodging the process server because I was like, this is ridiculous. But then finally the police, show up to my apartment, hand me these papers. Now I got to go into court and I have to respond. At first I was going to throw the papers away. I'm like, this is BS. And then thankfully I Googled it. And it's like, no, you can't, and someone told me you can't throw the papers away. They'll enter a default judgment. You have to go to court and respond. And I was like, well, this is BS. There's no babies. Well, you have to respond. Then you got to go to court and tell them that. So I hired a law firm to basically just help me fill out the response. So for 1 hour, I paid him $500. I was like, guys, I don't want to take you on as my legal counsel. I just want you to help me respond to this, and I'll submit it to the courts, and that'll be it. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, I'll just file a response, and that'll be it. It wasn't, and so I filed the response, and then it's like, the court's like, what do you why are you disputing this? I said, because there's no children. And I remember the judge goes, you mean they're not born yet? I go, no, there's no children at all. She's making it up. He's like, are you messing with me? I said, no, I'm not messing with you. I swear to you, she's making all this up. And he was so confused, and he was just like, well, he kind of just suspended it, or he was like, I'm going to push this into the court. So he just didn't close the case. He didn't submit a judgment. He just kept it open for I think it was a resolution conference or something that was supposed to come. So all of a sudden now I have this active court case. And then that was probably a few months before she went public. And when she went public, that's when I then heard from a lawyer, my now lawyer, who had reached out to me and was like, hey, I've dealt with this woman.
Wow.
I was representing the last victim, and you're going to be in for it. You need to understand what you're up against.
Did you reach out to the others that he had represented to cross stories?
Before he reached out, what happened was she went public, and then within 12 hours after she went public, or somewhere within a day, I got a DM from the now wife of the previous victim. And she said, hey, you need to look into this court case. You're not the only one. And then she sent me the court case number. Well, of course, when I see that, my stomach drops. I'm like, what? I'm like, whoa. This is not the DM I was expecting. What are we talking about? There's somebody else. So, all I could ever do was think about this. It consumed my entire life. I could barely function because I'm like, this woman is just she's claiming that she's only gonna have an abortion if I date her. And so if I don't date her, she's having the children, and she wants to co-parent. She wants to be a part of my life. I can't get this girl away from me. She's crazy. I talked to her mom on the phone, and her mom was basically on the same page. I was like, you got my daughter pregnant. You need to step up as a man. It's disappointing that you're not willing to step up and be a man. So I'm like, whoa, okay, I can't get the voice of reason. I told her, I was like, well, don't you want your daughter to be with someone that wants to actually be with her? She's like, I was like, I don't want to be with her. Why would she have a child? She can have the child if she wants. I'm not going to raise the child with her. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to be with your daughter. I'm not going to date her. She shouldn't get an abortion based on whether or not somebody dates her. And her mom was like, well, it was basically just well, I think you should give her a chance. And it makes sense to me. So I was like, all right, apple doesn't fall from the tree, fall far from the tree. So I'm screwed talking to the parents. But I basically find out that there's, somebody else. And I'm like, I go in the next day to the courthouse because I was like, this is my full-time job now, trying to uncover how to put an end to this. I go into the courthouse and I open up this court case, and while I'm in there, I'm reading it, and all these text messages look like the same ones she's sending me, and I'm like, there's a lot of there's just a carbon copy, might as well be, and then all of a sudden, as I'm reading, I see another name, and there's another victim, and I'm like, what? There's another victim. So then at that point is when I then reach back out to the now wife of the victim. I was like, can I talk to your at the time was her boyfriend. I was like, can I talk to your boyfriend? So him and I ended up getting into contact, and then we talked, and he told me about the previous victim, and then around all of this was happening so quickly, that's when then his lawyer reached out, because it was his lawyer. My lawyer, it was his lawyer as well. he reached out, and I basically like told him, I was like, dude, I got it. I just bought a house, so I wasn't trying to get a lawyer. I'm like, they're way too expensive. So I was like, hey, I'm cool. I'll figure it out. He's like, I don't think you understand what you're up against. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. Like, I'll handle this. Like, she can't keep faking it for long. And then I realized I needed his help because she wasn't going away. So I hired him on his team like a couple weeks later.
So now, what is she presenting as evidence?
Nothing. I mean, her fabricated evidence, the evidence that she's tampered with. I mean, the evidence that she's even admitting to tampering. But she claims it's just a little bit of medical fraud. Like that's what she said in court a year ago. She's like, I was a little bit of medical fraud. It's like, oh my gosh. But like that's how her mind works, is like, even if I'm lying, it's just a little bit. It's not a big deal. Like the rest of it's the truth. But it's like, no, none of it's the truth. Her evidence is like a fake ultrasound, that I don't know where she got it from. I mean, I tried to reverse Google image search. Well, she's had a couple that she's submitted to me, or submitted to like Reddit, or presented in court, or her lawyer showed me. One of them was from a ultrasound video. It was a video from like a YouTube video from 6 years ago. So that was one of her piece of evidence, was a stolen ultrasound video. Another one, I could never trace it back to where it was from because she had altered the image. So you couldn't reverse Google image search it, but she had this fake ultrasound because she forged her name at the top and put Smile, this medical facility that she never actually went to. So all of her records and her evidence is forged and fake. And she had a very big belly at one point. Like, I guess you can bloat yourself like bad enough. I mean, there was a call, it wasn't really like picked up on, but there was a call that is out there on the internet somewhere. She was calling this testing facility Ravgen when we were doing the paternity testing. And you could hear what sounded like her stomach like growling like crazy. And I believe she was taking bloat meds, and it was like causing her to like bloat extremely like badly. But it was like you could hear it on the call, like something was growling, and it sounded like her stomach was going berserk. And I think obviously it was really painful. And so at that point, she decided to get a prosthetic. But yeah, I mean, her evidence has just been like records of doctor visits that she scheduled but never showed up to. So like the doctor's like, we've never seen her, but she did file into our patient portal. Like she signed up, but she never showed up.
And in the ultrasound, she's claiming that she's not only pregnant, obviously, but with twins.
Yeah. And one more piece of thing I'll attack this on, I guess one of her biggest pieces of evidence are multiple positive, and I'm going to call them HCG tests. They're pregnancy tests, but I was distinguishing. I made sure to say it's an HCG test because that's what a pregnancy test tests for. She was testing positive, but we believe that she was taking medications or taking an HCG and injecting it in herself. And that's how she was popping positive on these pregnancy tests. So she did have that as well as additional evidence. And then I just want to throw that in there because that's probably the biggest thing that like obviously she had going for her. And it was like I had her take a pregnancy test in front of me early on before she went public because I was like, no, let's put an end to this. So I told her to come over to my house, say like, I just want to talk this out. And I was just trying to get her to come over, then hit her with like a gotcha. I got a pregnancy test, take it. I was hoping she'd take it and it would go negative, and I'd say, get out of my house and like I don't want to ever see you ever again. But she came to my house and she was like, hey, just so you know, I have a pregnancy test I brought with me. Here it is. It's positive. I said, well, I have one right here. She goes, great. I'll do it right now. And she did. And of course that threw me off because I was like,
well, yeah. So do you think she brought some sort of medication with her, or she had taken something just before she came over?
I think she took some before she came over, and like I was trying to play chess with her. I was like, I'm gonna invite her over and make it just seem like I want to talk to her and then hit her with this test. But obviously she was
thinking two steps ahead because she'd already scammed so many other people.
Yeah, and she that's the thing is her game kept getting better and better because the previous victim, he caught her through Google reverse image search. So she just like ripped off an image from online. He caught it, presented it to court. For whatever reason, they were like, oh, it's not the same image, even though it was it's the exact same image. But like, so she got caught. So of course, when I went to do it, she already learned. So she took an image from somewhere and then she smeared the middle of the image. It was like very blurred out, which isn't typical of an ultrasound, but it was like blurred out. So like when I went to for reverse image search it, there was like no exact match because the pixels were all altered. So she refined her game. So by the time she got to me, it was like, yeah, I mean, she had convincing evidence. And this is the thing that I tell people. I'm like, what really I struggled with was there was only two truths. It was either I was dealing with the craziest person that I'd ever met, or I was dealing with someone that was actually telling the truth. And when you're playing in those two extremes, it's like there's no in between. So you're just like, you're going back and forth where you're like, can somebody really be this crazy? Like, there's no way somebody could really go to this level. But on the other side, you're like, so, okay, so if someone like, there's no way like you run into this kind of person. So like, maybe she is. Like, maybe she did, like, how? I don't know how, but like, maybe she is pregnant. Maybe she did trap me. Maybe she trapped me. Maybe that's the truth. She trapped me, which is BS, but like, maybe she actually is pregnant. So like, shoot, well, how do I navigate this then?
Mm. And of course, she's not giving you any information that you can be helpful. She's probably running circles around you, like trying to avoid any accountability.
Yeah, so the first thing I said, let's do a paternity test. She goes, okay, I would love to, but we can't do it until 9 weeks. Like that's the soonest we can do a paternity test. So I said, okay, well then if that's the case, like until then, like please cease all communication with me. Like there's no reason for us to talk. Well, she was like, no, I mean, I need support during this time. Like, as a father of the first it was a child, then it became children. But she was like, as a father of my children, like I need support right now. Like you're the only person that can relate to like what I'm going through right now. And so I was just like, please stop talking to me. Like there's no reason to talk until we do the paternity test. Well, then I was like, well, how about we do an ultrasound? She's like, okay, I'll do an ultrasound. I was like, all right, great. Like, she's like, we have to wait 4 weeks. And I was like, okay. So like, again, stop talking to me until 4 weeks. She didn't do that. We got to the ultrasound point. I'm like, hey, schedule the ultrasound. She's like, well, I don't feel comfortable with you coming to and be in the same room as me. I'm afraid of what you might do. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm not going to, that's ridiculous. I'm never going to put my hands on you, but like, I don't even want to be in there with you anyways. Like FaceTime me when you get to the office. And then she basically got to the point where she's like, I scheduled it. And then she called me or she emailed me and was like, hey, I decided to cancel the appointment. I'm going to schedule it for another time, but I'm not going to tell you when it is because I'm afraid that you might show up and harm me. So I was like, well, my God.
She's also trying to put this she's trying to make a track her, she's trying to put things in writing that she can use against you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing is she did do that against the previous victim. He's a great dude, but like there were points where I wanted to like lash out. I mean, there were points where I was like, get the fuck out of my life. Like you stupid, like I had those feelings, of course, like, yeah, but I was like, Clayton, anything you say, it's like anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. It's like, that's exactly where my mind went. I was like, do not. She's like baiting you. And as I then found out about the previous victim, that's what she did. She baited him in to him having a moment where he blew up one day. After all of that time, he finally had lost it. He lost his cool. He had a moment and he became, like he was frustrated and he voiced his frustration. She then took that and used it in court and claimed that he coerced her into abortion. And that's what she ran with. And she was able to basically like get the court to just drop it and not, award fees to either side because I think that, yeah, like the abortion coercion, like she had an argument. She's like, I felt threatened. And she had these messages from him that were perceived as threatening. And he even admitted to me, he's like, dude, I messed up. Like I had one day where I just became very upset. And he didn't say like anything absolutely insane. He just was like, he got pissed and he used the F word a couple times. And she tried to bait me into the same thing. And I wasn't going for it. She's like, I have the pills if you want me to take them. I was like, hey, it's your body, your choice. And I was like, that's the way that I feel.
Yeah. Well, scammers look for any opportunity to use something to weaponize.
Yes. So she kept saying, like, do you want me to take them? And I said, Laura, I told you, I've told you I do not want to have a child with you, but like you ultimately can choose to do what you want to do. So then she's like, oh, I'm going to throw away the pills. And she's like, I got them again. Do you want me to take them? And
this is torture, emotional torture.
Trying to get me to fall into that abortion coercion category because she knew that avenue worked with the previous guy. So she's like, I'll just run them down the same path. But then I didn't go for it. So it was like, okay, she had to alter her course. And then eventually we got into uncharted territory, which is where she fell apart, which is like when she went public. It's like that was when we hit uncharted territory. I know that she expected me to fold when she went public. And either before she went public, like she threatened, like I'm about to go public, she either expected me to like, okay. Like,
yeah,
I'll do whatever. But I didn't. And then when she went public, she thought that, okay, this is going to cave him. The audience is going to basically turn on him and he's going to just collapse under pressure. But when she went public, I mean, it lit a fire under me. And that's where like, I was like, you have no idea what you're up against. Like,
you're like, I'm a D1 athlete. Let's go to the championship.
And that my thing was, I was like, you are going up against a guy that's already been obliterated by public perception. Like, you have never been in this place that I've been. Like, you're going up against a seasoned vet now. This is my arena. Like, you're about to get crucified. Like, and that's what happened. It's like she didn't realize that, like, how resilient I was and how the show had led me to this moment where I was like, you think that this is going to ruin me? Like, I've already been through this. I've already went through the fire once. I already know how to handle it. So like, I'll just do it again. And I know that I'm the one telling the truth. So like, the truth always prevails. And I had a cheating scandal that happened a year prior to that point, that like, again, that helped set me up, because that was like some BS, this accusation from this girl out in New York, which I disproved within less than 24 hours. But public perception, I mean, I got hit online on TikTok, and people were like, he's a piece of shit and da-da-da-da-da. And so I was like, look, I've already been through this. You have no idea. Like, you think that you're taking me into some place that I can't come back from. And that was her biggest mistake, yeah. Was thinking you'd take me down with the public.
And also important to note, she said that she was pregnant with twins. There's a reason she would say twins. Tell everyone.
Yeah. So she said twins because when we got to the point of doing a paternity test, she goes, well, hey, I would love to be able to do a paternity test, but like every facility I call won't do a paternity test when there's twins, because there's a chance that there could be multiple fathers. So because they can't isolate the DNA, like we can't do it. And I thankfully was like, no, I'm not going to believe that. Like, I'm not going to believe what's coming out of your mouth. Let me like check Google. And I Googled, and sure enough, there was a testing facility, Ravgen, which, if I'm not mistaken, the previous guy, she claimed twins as well. I know she did. That's not, but I don't believe Ravgen was around during that time or had the means to test if there was, for test for twins. So that technology I don't think was available then, but it was like just happened to recently become available. So when I Googled it and found it and called them, and they're like, yeah, we can do it. Like, we can still isolate your DNA if she has it. That first off, it hardly ever happens. But even if it happened, and there was two separate fathers, like, we can isolate the DNA. I was like, okay, great. So that's what she was caught off guard. She was caught off guard on that and was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I would love to take the test. I was like, great, because we found a facility, we can do it. So she thought that was going to basically put me in another pickle, and it was like, no, we have a facility now that will do this.
What do you think was her plan in terms of like, look, I've had 5 children. I mean, you start to show, you have appointments, you eventually have to go into labor and deliver a child. So what was historically her decision process? How far was she going to take this?
Well, I don't think she expected to take it as far as she did. She, with the previous guys, it was like, date me or I'm having these children. She got the previous guy on abortion coercion. So like, once she took the pills and one of the children was miscarried, but then she said like, well, the other one's still alive according to the doctor.
And are they paying her? Like, okay, here's money if you're going to get an abortion. Like, so she's getting some sort of financial benefit, or is this simply she's somebody who just likes to torture people?
Yeah, it's psychological. So, I mean, this is my opinion on it, but based on like information I've gathered, obviously having talked to her specifically, she comes from a family that was like very, very successful as far as like when it comes to their workplace ventures. Her dad was a radio host for 30 years for ABC out in San Fran. And her mother was, I think she was a publicist or something. I don't remember, a reporter or something. But like, they were very well known out in San Fran. He was the top radio host, her dad. And so, this family was very pompous from what I heard. They were entitled. They felt that they were better than everybody. And they saw like the average person as basically less than. Well, Laura apparently growing up, like, never had to ever face accountability. Her parents would just pay her way out of it if she was in trouble, or they'd have the right connections to get her out of the trouble. And so what it led to was a individual in a family that never really had to face repercussions for their actions. And this, was then instilled down upon Laura. And then she became this individual that was like, I don't ever have to face accountability. I can just lie my way out of it. But where I believe it stems from is like her mother, who was in the shadows of her husband and did not like that. She was always referred to as Ron Owen's wife, not her own person. And so I believe that her mother loathed that, hated that, wanted to be not in the shadow of her husband. And I believe she started to have some aggression and anger towards men. Also, there's just talks of like her husband was cheating on her. Actually, I think it was proven. So obviously she had this resentment towards him as well. And I believe she passed that down upon, at least one of her children, and Laura, and hey, men are terrible, and, men deserve to, if they're going to try to destroy us, like we should destroy them. And so she does it because she lacks self-love. That's why Laura does it. She lacks self-love. She hates what she is. And so when a man rejects her, she decides, hey, if you're going to reject me, I'm going to make you feel as much pain as I feel. And that's why she does it. It's nothing to do with money. It's just like, hey, I want you to hurt as much as I'm hurting.
Okay. So you eventually go to get this, a court decision. Walk me through the feeling that you felt as this story came to completion.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's where there's still so much frustration and anger is like, we won a year ago in court as far as I got an order of non-paternity. But even though we won that day and it was referred to the county attorney for prosecution, of course, yes, it was like, hey, it's referred, doesn't mean they'll pick it up. So we're like, okay, now we have to wait and see if it's going to get picked up. Also, right away, like her lawyer's saying we're going to appeal this decision. So you're like, okay, even though we won, they're going to freaking appeal. So like, it's just not over. Like, they're going to appeal, and they appealed for months, and they took it up to another court, and they appealed, and you're like, it's not over. So even though we won, it's not over. And then, the county attorney picks it up, and it's like, okay, so that's a win. But now they're going to mount a case against her. And, that was like picked up a year ago, and here we are, it's a year later. And so you're like, holy hell, like, why is this still dragging? Like, why can't she be behind bars? Why isn't it that simple? Like, why does there have to be all this due process? It's like overdue process. And so it didn't really feel like, it felt like a win that day when we won in court. People had flown in, supporters, like followers of it, internet sleuths that helped us, uncover her lies. Flew in, and we all went afterwards to a house, and there was a pool party with food, and we all celebrated together. But it was like, yeah, but it's not over. Like, she's not going to stop.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about. How are we preventing this, that there's not another victim?
Yeah, so she went back on the dating apps a year ago, and I think she's back on again as of a couple of days ago. She's not stopping. Like, she literally has been caught red-handed. She is in bankruptcy court right now, being looked at by the government. She's got this case with the county attorney. So she's got state and federal matters. Does not matter. She is still proceeding forward in her life as if like none of it is there. Like, as if she's just going to wipe her hands clean and walk away from it. She's like, whatever, I'll get out of this. I just keep lying. And so that's where, like, yeah, I mean, it's agitating because you're like, how can somebody be facing 14 felony charges, be facing prison time, and continue as if it's not even real? Like, does not stop her one bit. And that's what I told the prosecutor. I said, you have to lay on a heavy sentencing on this individual. Otherwise, she will just go back out and do it again. And, that's where she's going to fight it, I believe. Like, she was offered a plea. I was advised by my lawyer not to speak on it. I will just say this. I'm not entirely pleased by the plea, but whatever, it's some type of accountability, but it's not to the degree that I think will stop her. But I don't make those decisions at the end of the day. So I appreciate, the county attorney and their team, working on it and taking it on. And they're like, oh, like trying to have accountability be had. But I'm like, look, there's only one way. And the only way you have accountability is by putting her and locking her up for years behind bars. That's the only way. You strip her of her environment, put her in a new environment, take away her helping hand and her family, and make her be isolated in her own thoughts, where she has to all of a sudden go, wait, why am I the only one that's in here? Why is my mom not in here with me? Like, why am I in trouble? Like, and realize, like, she needs to realize, because I think her mom's the puppet master. It's like she's being puppeted around my hate lies in her mother. I hate her mother. I don't hate Laura really. I hate her mom because I'm like, what kind of loving mother like allows for their child to get to this place?
Well, and the father is culpable too.
Yeah, the father is as well, but I honestly think the father is just kind of over it. I don't think the father really like, to be honest with you, I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't think the father really cares too much about the family in general. Like, I don't
Got it. Okay.
think like it's just a really bad family dynamic. I don't really think there's a lot of love in that family.
Mm. Okay, so the question that begs is, how do you go back into the dating world after this?
You know, honestly, that's been something where I think people have said like, hey, I mean, how do you date? You must be super guarded. And it's like, yeah, I definitely have put in additional precautions. I'm definitely smarter about who I give my energy to. It's like, I would never, nowadays never give my energy to somebody like her. So it's also just like just because somebody wants to hook up with you doesn't mean you have to, Clayton. It's like I used to, see that as a means of validation. It's like if a girl wants to hook up with you, then like, again, it validates. It's like that makes me feel like I must be worth a shit because this girl wants to be with me intimately. Now since all this has occurred and I found more self-love, my own journey beyond just this matter, I'm just being smarter. It's like, look, like hang out with somebody, but even before I hang out with them, like talking to them, texting them, and being able to be like, look, this is either I don't think this person, like I should have this person in my life. I don't need this person in my life. Like just there's no reason to engage in this. So I'm definitely vetting to a higher degree. That being said, like I've had moments where like when I've been intimate with women where I've had to like, I am being more thorough. I'm like, are you on birth control? Like, I went through a lot, just so you know, like, this is why I'm asking these questions. Like, I have I have to ask you this, like, and I've definitely probably over communicated that in realms where the girls like, you're totally like fine. Like, I would never do that. And you're like, I know, but like, just because you say, like, I have to bring it up. So there's been moments where I've definitely like maybe killed the vibe going into being intimate because I'm like, I have to ask this like before we're intimate. Like, I just need to know like you need to know what I've went through. And like, but beyond that, I try not to allow this experience to muddy the waters because it's like going into a relationship. It's like, you don't want to bring baggage from a previous relationship. It's like that person is not the next person or the person after that. And in this case, this is an evil woman that does not speak for or stand for the majority of women. The 99.9% of women out there in this world and the 99.9% that I've interacted with are, human, are great, are not going to do something this chaotic. This woman is she's an outlier. So that's what I always tell myself in the back of my head. She's an outlier. Like, so don't walk into the next person you talk to and like with this mindset of like, I have to like be on guard and can't take her at her word. Cause I'm like, that's just, if that's the case, I'll stay single.
I think if I were your sister, I would probably worry, and I'm sure that your brother and your parents do too, that this might impact the moment that you do find out, your wife's pregnant. Like, I hope it doesn't rob you of a little bit of joy because she did this to you. I hope that you get that opportunity in that moment in life and you really sit in that joy.
Yeah, I mean, I have not even had anyone bring that up or like had that thought like come across my mind as far as like how I feel when I actually have someone that I love like be pregnant. I when you said that, I got like a weird like not like a stomach drop, but like the beginnings of like what would feel like a stomach drop, like that initial just like kind of, I don't know if it's angst. But yeah, I don't know. That's one I don't really have an answer for because like I've not thought about that. I like, to me, if I'm reflecting on it in this moment right now, my brain tells me it's not going to be impacted because this was with a crazy individual that made it all up versus someone that I'm going to end up loving.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say to you too, when that time comes, and I hope that it comes soon, the version that you are now will be a much better partner, husband, and father, because I think what you noted in the beginning of this interview was that it wasn't up until 8 to 9 months ago that you were really being honest with yourself about who you are authentically and the decision to live authentically and to love yourself. So you probably were not equipped to meet the right person up until this point. And then you're going to have that mutual love and respect and trust in that person. So when that time comes and she tells you, the test is positive, it will feel deeply joyful.
Oh, I believe it's going to be an incredible moment. I mean, I'll break down in tears. Like, I mean, that was the thing. It's like even these last 4 years. I mean, I barely cried on The Bachelor. I'm only a couple times. If people, they probably didn't realize this. They saw me cry a few times, but it was like I was always crying in rooms by myself because I was, not even raised by my parents. It was like society taught me that like real men don't cry in front of others. Like real men handle it. If you're going to cry, cry behind closed doors. So when people saw me cry on The Bachelor, I was always crying when I was in a room by myself with just me and a camera, right? I was never crying in front of the women. And when I was in front of the women, it was like, people said I appeared cold and emotionless. It's like, well, no, I was trying to appear strong. Like that's what I was trying to
I think that's been running through your head all your life.
Yeah, like you got to appear strong, Clayton. And that has been, always the thing for me, like the little Clayton within me, created this big guy. I created this massive man because it was like I was trying to protect myself, and that's that's been tiresome. It's been hard for me at times because like you just want to be like, damn, man, like I just want to feel like I don't want to keep fighting so hard, like I want to I just want to like be able to live my life and not wake up every day feeling like I have to protect myself, and that's something that I've worked really hard on, and I'm proud of what I've built, and I'm so proud of that younger version of me that fought so hard. He was doing the best with what he had.
So in the end, I feel like the lesson for you was you need to have self-love, which I think you're getting there. You're almost there, totally. But I want the fight that you have learned through this process, I want you to flip that around and fight for kids.
Yeah, I mean, this is a sign. I feel like a hard message for you to say that because, like, I've told my parents, I'm like, it's the only thing that really makes me feel anything which is like, look, like, I don't want that to sound super like negative, but it's I've done a lot of crazy stuff in my life, and so like I've achieved at a high level. And when you do that, it's like coming down from those experiences is like having withdrawals. It's like it's because you're.
I would assume you were on the lead of a show. You played D1. You got to the NFL, and now you've settled into just everyday life.
Yeah, no, I'm normal. And my brain's like, I don't want to be normal. Like, I don't, like, we went backwards. And it's like, no, you didn't go backwards, but I understand that, like, your dopamine was revved. Like, I was dopamine addicted. You're so right. I have not fully found my self-love. I've not fully found my footing, but I'm, like, getting close, where I'm, like, I'm getting closer and closer. I'm very spiritual, I believe. Obviously, like, God's got his hand on me and has taken me through all this. And, what's to come next is like, I do believe, even though I've even had hesitancy, I give myself grace now because I'm like, even though you've had hesitancy, even with everything up until this point, like you're going to go down the path you're meant to go down.
Mm-hmm. This would break a lot of people. It did not break you. And I think that you're going to use this and do very big things. And the blessing was that you had the platform that you did, and you will continue to grow it and do great things. And I just hope for you that when the time comes and you do meet your partner, that you have the most joyful pregnancies and experiences as parents.
Yeah, it'll be a really great day when that time comes.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
It will. I know it will. I know I'm not meant to be a single man.
And maybe you meet them when you're helping kids. Maybe that person works in that space.
No, I actually say that. I actually ended up like going on a date with a woman from that. I was at a nonprofit. I work for a nonprofit called Future for Kids out here in Phoenix. And I went out to an event I was emceeing, and one of the individuals that worked for the Suns, like she, very, very, very beautiful girl. Like we ended up going out on a date. But like to your point, like it just didn't ultimately, I didn't feel like it was the right timing and right person. But I was like, yeah, I mean, this could happen. Like you're going and doing the things that you love and enjoy. And that's typically like when someone sees you in your element, like and they're in theirs, and you're in the same environment and doing the same kind of thing. And you're like, whoa, like you like this too? Yeah, it's either that or my salsa classes I just started.
Maybe that. Wait, I think that was one of the things on the list of 20 in Us Weekly. Something about you dance. You said you dance by yourself when no one's watching. If I remember,
I definitely did because before I started taking classes, I was not confident to dance out in public. But obviously, since that point, no. So it was me. Yeah. It was me.
And candles, and you loved candles, and I thought he needs the candles because he eats so much Chipotle.
No, not that. I just actually do love candles. This was all me. Now you say this, actually, just because I think like a candlelit room is just so nice. It's just like such a peaceful. Like I love like lighting. I have all this lighting in my house. Like I'm super like lighting focused and ambiance and like surround sound and so I love a good candle. So that was
you. Well, we solved it.
All this we've solved it.
We have solved that. Too good. Well, tell everybody where they can listen to the podcast because you break this whole story down and everyone's going to want to know every single detail of it. And then also where they can follow you.
Yeah, well, the great thing is, because this is an awesome conversation, Kate. I mean, look, like none of what I said, I don't dive that much into. So you're going to hear obviously more of on the who I am, which helps. It definitely helps because it gives you a backstory before you go into like, why did he make these decisions that he did? So like, you'll be like, okay, I can now see why he did based on this conversation. You can find the podcast on any major streaming platform. There's the Apple Podcast, there's Spotify, iHeart. They have their app, and there's probably a few other places that I'm not mentioning. But as far as where you can find me, you just find me on Instagram. It's my first and last name, Clayton Echard. I keep it real simple. It's just my first last name on every platform for that matter. Maybe there's a period in there. I think for TikTok, it's a period, but I basically cross-post anyways. Everything I post on Instagram goes on TikTok. So you go on Instagram, you find me there. That's where you'll find everything. I have my website that's being worked on at the moment, but anything that I'm active in is being put out through the Instagram account.
Well, I'm so grateful I got a chance to chat with you. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to keeping in touch.
Yeah, absolutely, Kate. Thank you so much. This is a great conversation.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my wonderful guest and remind you all to make sure that you click subscribe. Please leave a 5-star review. Join the Facebook group Reality Life with Kate Casey. You can get bonus episodes by going to Apple Podcast and on Patreon. Also, my What to Watch list of what to watch in unscripted TV, reality shows, and documentaries every week can be found at katecasey.substack.com. You can also find all of my articles. And follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KCaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, and Twitter Threads and Blue Sky at @KCasey. Check back tomorrow for an all-new episode.